to the Legacy Challenge Let's Play. Before we get actually started, as you can see, I'm not actually playing my character at the moment. That's because I've recently got inspired to make a few characters. This is Katarina from League of Legends, and Midna from Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. Now, I wanted to talk about a few things before I actually dive into the Let's Play. As one, I decided to make these two characters from first off. Second of all, when I noticed something, is like kind of this weird glitch or bug that I noticed when I finished making them. So when I finish making them, I do like I think what most people would do is I save them to my library, which you can see I'm currently offline. I saved them to my library, and for whatever reason, it said that, oh, these characters were originally created by some dude. I'm like, that's not right. I made them from scratch. How could they be made by someone else when I made them complete from scratch? I think it's a weird bug or something. However, whenever I look anything up about it, I can't find anything about it, other than like, oh, specifically people talking about, oh, there is a thing with lots. Like, when you build buildings, sometimes like it'll glitch up and you have to like basically rebuild the building room by room, and that's how you fix that. But like, I found nothing about Sims, and the little information I could find about Sims is like, and it's just one person saying like, oh, I have a problem with my Sims being credited to someone else, and like literally everyone else saying like, oh, that's not a glitch, that's that's intended, like whatever. I'm like, but no one's really willing to acknowledge that it is a glitch, and it's bothering me very much. But I kind of dealt with that for a bit, but then I got over it because I kind of figured these characters, I'm never gonna I'm not really going to upload them and share them really, because I think they're for really personal use. But however, if you want me to share them, I will. I'll basically recreate them from scratch if you want me to, so that I'll have the proper credentials. But just keep in mind that I use like a lot of mods to make these characters, so you have to get the same mods as well to actually play them. And I'll be willing to give you a list of mods, like compile a list of mods I use to make them, but that'll take a while, but whatever. So I have to deal with that little annoyance. The second thing I suppose the third thing I want to talk about is I made these characters like after EA recently released a patch for Sims 4, and for the patch was implied that, oh, you can just, well, all I got from the patch when I originally saw it was like, oh, you can just dress up Sims, and like they're no longer gender restricted to their clothing, which I kind of thought was cool. It's like, oh, cool, you can now you can make essentially a cross-dresser Sim if you wanted to, and like that's kind of cool. No longer being restrained by that. But that was just my original thought, and in fact, my funny stupid thing was like my very first thought when I saw it was I'm gonna make John Barrowman wearing a TARDIS dress. I haven't got around to that yet, but I will. And essentially, I started playing around with this, and for the longest I couldn't find I saw like settings were saying, I was like, oh, maybe the patch hasn't hit yet, until I actually looked here, and look at this. It's actually way more detailed than I thought it was going to be. Because originally, like I said, I originally thought it was just going to be a setting where you actually just where you just make a Sim and just cross-dress them. But no, it's actually more depth to that. It's actually very inclusive for the transsexual audience. It's like, oh, do you want to make straight up just a transsexual character? Here you go. You can make a character that looks female but can essentially do male things. Like you can straight up have this Sim, like if I want to, I can just flip the switch and basically essentially just make her a transsexual male if I wanted to, but I'm not. But that'd be a thing I might play around with later, because adding transsexual Sims into my world might be make it a little bit more realistic. as to how I view the real world, because transsexuals exist. People, they can't really. They exist and they're here, and fair enough. And they're here to stay. You just had to live with them. So the reason why I made these two characters, let's get back to point number one, is I saw a thing, I got inspired, and so I wanted to make them. Now, I wanted, and after I made them, I kind of figured, well, I might as well use them somewhere. So I figured, so there's a thing, like, I figured, like, oh, I can just use them in my Legacy Challenge, so they can get some use. However, there is a rule that pretty much states that your sim cannot, when you're doing Legacy Challenge, you cannot play another sim's household. You can only play the household that you start out with, which is okay, fair enough. However, and there's also a thing that says like you cannot, other sims that you create cannot become spouses of your Legacy sim. Again, that's a thing. However, there has been since an amendment to that rule. Because essentially the game will, over time, will basically deplete its random townies. You basically, that rule has been lifted so that you can essentially just play around with other people's sims. Like you can download sims from the gallery and put them in. The only thing is, like, you can't know what their personalities are ahead of time. Now, since I made these two sims, I know what their personalities are, and I don't know how to change them. Well, I know how to change them. It's like I don't know how to randomize them so that I wouldn't know what they are once they get in the game. So that's one thing. Now, however, I did find out another thing. You can just the rule doesn't state that. The rule only states that only the Legacy sim can't marry them and bring them in. Now, if I were to have multiple children, like if I have two sons or a daughter and a son or whatever, the one that isn't the heir can marry them because they shouldn't really affect the story. They shouldn't affect anything. That's it. Now, that'll be interesting to play. Now, I think that'll be interesting to basically bring in those characters I made into the family by doing just that, just making a sim, having and basically having bring them into the family. But since they're not the heir, they're not going to be married to the heir. They'll still be part of the family. They'll still have kids. It's just that they're there. They just don't really bring much to the family. Like they don't. So that I'm not technically breaking any rules, because there's nothing against your spare children marrying and bringing them income or whatever. I think that'd be nice. Now, of course, for the Legacy sim and their spouses, you'll have to basically keep doing that. This episode might go on a little bit longer because I spent essentially the first half of it so far just talking about the new characters not having anything done.
Fimpy.
Let's see. Do you have work tomorrow? Yeah, you need to make money, but don't know how. So we're back to the current. Is she over there? Yeah, she is.
So. Ezoy Brapani. Zanesso Duma. Ashkua. Bobe Pinella.
Go do your thing, bro. Oh, yeah. What she's doing over there is basically the pose pack. I downloaded it, so basically, I get the Sims to do certain poses, for stuff, and I guess they'll just randomly do it.
Binja.
so.
I might want to actually disable that mod while I'm not actually using it.
Miss Stevie.
Because I think it does break a few things.
Malade.
Oh, dag dag.
More parla la dim.
Venosa Batanabe?
Dibawis
Sabula.
Sharozima. Turinga.
Oh, Vadish. Arvini. Busharp Kumiao.
Yay.
Uribi.
Goomba. Watanabe. Sistine Turip. Biffadao.
Yeah, you need food,
Oh,
but you're poor as shit.
Venusa.
You're gonna have a bad time. You're gonna have a bad time. Because you don't work for the 2 days.
Levite
But
Boris.
you have a whole nother day off. You have no money. You can't afford to get food. You can't even afford to make money by painting. So you're gonna starve, dude. This is life. This is just life right now.
Parfase Schwoz. Deeps Parfase Horib.
Bombzoid Dimpish. Befete Pelka. Venu. Essenoi. Flarib.
Zamog. Bondi.
Just some eat like someone else's food.
Okay,
Okay, I think he was on his way to eat someone else's food.
Travoy. Oh, dag dag.
Shh. I'm not afraid to admit that I'll sell scavenge for food if I have no money.
Gotha.
Venosa Labratus.
Lisserac. Ah, Lavine. Kapuna. Ibalo Noyam. Bembi Sheldo. Veruda Compol.
Chibi. Fubane.
Befete Shamagra. Renoishu.
Nilla Kerfanaza.
Quadish.
I don't know. I'm not really talkative at the moment because I should probably go over this. But for the past few days, I have felt like complete crap because my stomach started acting up a lot, and I just have been in like consistent cramps, like really painful cramps. Like and it's like to the point where it's like I have to sit a specific way to alleviate some of the pain, but unfortunately, like sitting that way is like super uncomfortable, so I can't sit that way for very long. So it's very much like do I want to be uncomfortable? Which way do I want to be uncomfortable? And unfortunately, it's very much a situation where that's just really bothersome. And I guess I'm gonna have to send him home now since he's tired. As soon as he gets on this conversation, of course. But it's the very situation where I get it's painful, but here's the thing: is like I can deal with the pain, but it's just like uncomfortable because like the most annoying part of it was the pain would hit me when I'm trying to go to sleep, and I can deal with pain. It's just that it's more like it's hard to get some sleep than when essentially like you're feeling somebody's consistently jabbing you from the inside, and like and basically wakes you up consistently, and you can't get sleep, and it's annoying. The pain is one thing, is like it really, because like every time this isn't the first time it's hit me, and every time it's hit me, I always have the feeling like I'm gonna die feeling from this. Like I hope I don't die because of that fear of something is gonna rupture within me. Like I know that's not the case, but there's always like that fear of maybe like this is how I'm gonna die feeling. Like when you experience like some amount of pain that you can't really explain after that. like which is kind of stupid because I think this is at a point where I should be able to explain it, but you know. Like where I feel like I should be able to explain the pain, but I can't. And I know what's causing it. I've been to the doctor a few times, but I've been to the doctor a few times about this, and he's giving me medication, which does work. It's just that if I go off, if I forget to take it for a while, the pain starts kind of coming back, and I basically have to be. And when you start the medication again, it's not as effective because you haven't been taking it consistently. So you have to basically take it like every day again, and it slowly go. The pain will slowly proceed. But I've been jokingly calling it my period because mainly because it's I've talked to some of my friends about it, like some of my female friends about it, and they've said like it's the symptoms I'm going through for this sound very period esque, and the thing that put the final nail in the coffin, which made me call it a period, is because for a while I've been having this problem around the same time as some of my female friends have been having their monthly problems. So I've been joking, saying like, "Oh, we've been syncing up our menstrual cycles," which is so. Now that I got that out of the way, yeah. Again, I don't think I want to call this an episode because we're over the normal time period for me, but we're over the normal time period for me. But I don't think I've gotten much done. But I guess haven't gotten much done. But I guess I'll call it here, and I'll hopefully try to get more done in the next episode. So, see ya.
Floating through the clouds, our emerges from beneath.